What's going on, everybody? Sports Dude here, and we are back for the Sports Dudes podcast episode number 15. It's been a little while, boys and girls, but we are back again today. What a wild week in sports. Plenty to talk about. Basically, NBA free agency, of course, Kevin Durant. We'll talk about some news topics, Matt Harvey, break down the NFL, break down some UFC 200 that is occurring tomorrow. And that's basically going to wrap it up for that. So it's going to be a bunch of fun today. Plenty of topics here in episode number 15. And I'm excited to get into it. Without further ado though, let me jump right into, of course, if you have any questions you would like to have answered, or any questions for me, you can go ahead and drop them down in the comment section down below. Anything I miss or something that you want to correct me on, go ahead and leave it down in the comment section down below. That would be terrific, so I can get it down in next week's episode, so we can have another great episode of the Sports Dudes podcast. So so we are back again today. It's going to be just a great episode. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We have tons to talk about. Of course, I'll break down my new NFC division. This will be the NFC North. I'll break down two teams today. That will be the Minnesota Vikings and the Detroit Lions. Two teams I'll break down today in the NFL series, the little mini-series I'm doing here on the Sports Dude podcast until we enter in towards the NFL regular season. So, without further ado, let's jump right into it. The first news and the first big story really shook up the whole NBA. Kevin Durant is going to the Golden State Warriors. So it's a wild move all in all, really. I mean, a lot of people call him a coward. Some people are calling him a smart man. Really up and down for me. It's going to be a wild NBA season now, as we're going to have to deal with the Warriors being the media now, constantly in the news, and it's going to be the battle between the Warriors and Cavs. There's not another team right now that's going to be able to probably take down the Cavs. First and foremost, and they are one of the best teams. We'll get to the Bulls situation with Dwayne Wade here, definitely. But I mean, now with the Warriors, you have really a big three right now that is really good. Now it's going to take a little while from the chemistry to gel. It took a little while for James, Wade, and Bosh in Miami to gel. It's going to take a little while. I don't expect them here in their first year to really go and get the win, though. I really don't. It would be shocking. It does take a little while for the chemistry to build. You have really three great players, two MVP players on the team right now. I think Klay Thompson's one of the best shooting guards in the game. So, and you have role players like Draymond Green out there right now that he's playing out of his mind. I mean, so right now it's a very interesting battle. You got James, you got Irving on the other side with the Cavs. I mean, it's going to be really a dogfight once you get to the NBA Finals next year. But for now, the Warriors' sake, they're going to win a lot of games. I don't know if they're going to break the MJ's record with the Bulls after this historic season the Warriors just had and then falling up short. I mean, I don't know. If I was Russell Westbrook, I would be furious. That's my teammate. I've been with him for a very long time. And he's, essentially kind of turning his back on Oklahoma City and going to Golden State now. But I really don't know how really to analyze this move. I mean, the guy's probably going to win an NBA championship. You look at it that way, he will get one. I mean, I can promise you on that one. I think he will, the Golden State Warriors will get a championship reign under their belt eventually. Now, give it time for them to gel. Give it a few years, but the guys are young. Durant's still pretty young, and Curry's definitely young. So is Thompson as well. You have guys that are young. They're going to produce, and they're going to get there. They're going to gel to become one unit, and will eventually, in my opinion, win that NBA Finals championship. It's a very hot news topic. I don't really know how to. I don't really think he's a coward, to be honest. I mean, yes, he loses the Western Conference Finals to the Warriors, gets swept, and then he goes over them. He goes over there now to face a team you got beat by. So it's a little bit shocking. It's shocking to me to see, and that was shocking for everybody. I thought personally he was easily returning back to the Thunder. No, I had no thought process whatsoever that he was going to leave and go to the Golden State Warriors, in my opinion. But I'm shocked, really am. The whole NBA news stories was shocked. Everything was shocked. Everybody was shocked. So I really don't know how to really explain it, but I think KD will get the championship run that he wants. He's so badly wanted. I'm going to miss seeing him in OKC. I really liked him in OKC. I really don't have any hatred for him really at all. It could be really a smart move. If the guy ends up winning getting the NBA titles, he could look like the smartest man on the planet, because that's what he wants. He wants the title. I get that it's cowardly. People say the same about James. He comes back, then he won it in Miami, then he wins it in Cleveland. This could be a very similar story. Very similar path so far if you actually look at it. But a very interesting topic. We'll see how this is definitely going to progress. It's only going to get a little bit more crazier from here. Second news topic of the day here, of course, was the thumbnail. This is before Kevin Durant came out here, guys. I had the thumbnail made for me. Shout out to Shaneth, by the way. I can leave his YouTube channel down below, helping with my thumbnails. I appreciate him a bunch for helping me out with that. Thank you for that. Go subscribe to him. Give him a follow on Twitter as well. His Twitter's on his YouTube channel as well. Go give him a follow. I can link him down below. I appreciate all the work he does in my thumbnails. Helps me out tremendously. But Michael Conley, the starting point guard for the Memphis Grizzlies, never been an All-Star, had a fine year last year, but he just received a $153 million deal, which in my opinion is a little outrageous for a guy that's nothing more than just kind of a mediocre player. He's average. He's nothing superb. You give those $153 million contracts, the richest in history, by the way. LeBron James can deserve that kind of contract. Kobe in his prime deserves that kind of contract. Even Durant in his prime, those guys are superstars. Michael Conley is not a superstar whatsoever. The guy's not won a championship. They barely even go to the conference finals. I mean, I don't really know what Memphis was doing. I mean, Conley right now looks like he's the happiest man on the world because he's got $150 million coming in. I mean, that's insane for a guy who's not even been an All-Star, and they're gonna pay him all that money. That to me is ludicrous, but whatever the Memphis Grizzlies want to do, I think it's just a really poor move in my opinion. It's a head scratcher, to be honest, but we'll see what happens there. And we'll get now to Dwight Howard. He exits the Houston Rockets to go to the Atlanta Hawks. Now, interesting fit for the Hawks. Been up and down. They lose Al Horford, by the way. And now they're going to enter Dwight Howard into the mix. Dwight Howard's been up and down with he had L.A. from the Magic. He's got the Rockets. He's never really found the home he's really wanted and desired. Maybe it's Atlanta here. They've had some troubles here. But I've always been a team that's been hanging around the East. The East is really a rough conference. They always struggle compared to the West. But maybe Dwight Howard can turn around the Atlanta Hawks. I don't personally think so, but we will wait and see. Should be very interesting, though. Second one of the topic today in terms of like power forward / center is Paul Gasol, former Chicago Bull as well as Los Angeles Laker. He goes to the San Antonio Spurs. A nice move for the Spurs here. Get a nice power forward in their mix. They always like getting big guys, international guys as well, and they have a nice fit here in Paul Gasol. Up there in age, but at the age of 36, if I'm not mistaken, but a good player. Had a nice year with the Bulls, but they started to let him walk then in free agency. Spurs, I think, will be a nice fit for him as well. You get some aging veterans in that Spurs team, but Paul Gasol can bring some veteran presence that Greg Popovich, likes. So, and now we'll get to the Chicago Bulls making two very intriguing moves here that'll have to break down. Rajon Rondo, former Boston Celtic and Sacramento King, now exits, and he signs a 2-year deal, a $30 million deal at that, to the Chicago Bulls. And then Dwayne Wade signs a 2-year, $48 million contract to the Bulls. Bulls trade Jose Calderon, who they received in the Derrick Rose trade, and then trade former Milwaukee Buck Mike Dunleavy as well to free up some cap space. So a wild week here for the Chicago Bulls. A very interesting week, of course. In my opinion, they don't need Dwayne. I think really a head scratcher once again. You trade Derrick Rose. You're trying to become younger, right? Rose is 27, bad knees, torn the meniscus. I get that. And then you're going to go out and you're going to sign Rajon Rondo. Rajon Rondo's had management problems. He's had problems with the front office. And he's 30 years old. And he's not a great guy to be around with in the locker room. That's concerning for me. And he's never been really a superstar either. He's just been kind of a good player. He's been decent. Rajon Rondo is nothing, I think, much. A 2-year deal, $30 million. We're going to pay for a guy that's 30 years old. We just traded the guy who's 27. We're going older. We should be going younger. Why go older? You know what I mean? That's that. If I'm the GM, go younger, right? You want to rebuild. Get back to prominence so you can have a chance at the Cleveland Cavaliers in the East. And Dwayne Wade, too. A shocker once again. Everyone thinking, he's going to go back to Miami. Pat Riley will finally pay him. He's deserved all this money, and he's going to go finally pay him the money rightfully deserved. He's never actually been the highest paid player on Miami, taking pay cuts, all around here. He's been an NBA champion with them multiple times, 2006. of course, and has had multiple runs. They come the big three, takes a pay cut to let LeBron come in as well as Bosh, and the guy doesn't actually get the money he deserves, so he goes to Chicago. He going to the Bulls. Very intriguing move once again, though. I don't think this little big three here that everyone's talking about is going to really work for them at all, to be honest. Butler's a cornerstone, but not, in my opinion, Wade's not. I mean, Wade's, 34, 35? Again, going older. Wade's on the last legs of his career, to be honest. And he's had injury problems in himself, and we're going to pay $48 million for that. That, to me, is not the best of decisions. But whatever, it's going to be interesting to see how he's going to do. I like Dwayne Wade, nice player, but I don't think he's going to fit well for the Chicago Bulls, in my opinion. I think it's just going to be a rough move that people are going to look back on and think, ooh, that was a rough one. I think he's not going to bring anything to us because we're not going to beat the Cavaliers. We're just going to be stuck right in the middle and the thick of the East, which is not where we want to be. So that's basically that. And now in terms of news stories here, we have the Home Run Derby, by the way, is next week. It should be a fun one, but kind of should be a little more of a downer. Not many big participants this year. Guys like Mark Trumbo are in it. Giancarlo Stanton's actually, he's fun to watch. But there's a few of them, like Corey Seager, okay, he's okay. But there's nothing really exciting, to be honest, in the Home Run Derby. A lot of the big names are kind of going out of it now. They're not choosing to do it anymore. So it takes away a little bit more of the prestige and the eye candy away from the Derby. To be honest, I'm not going to be that excited to watch it if there's not many of those great guys in it anymore. Now switching gears a little bit to some NHL. PK Subban is now a Nashville Predator, and what I think a shocking trade in my opinion. They traded him, the Montreal Canadiens, traded Subban to the Predators in exchange for defenseman Shea Weber. So a defenseman deal right there. Very odd one to both all-star caliber defensemen right there. Very intriguing move, definitely. But we'll see how that works out for the NHL. Just an odd move, I think, if you trade Subban. He's a nice young player, 27 years of age. And then, of course, like I mentioned, too, Matt Harvey, who announced was today he's done for the year and undergoing season-ending surgery. Guy's had an up-and-down career so far. He's a good pitcher, but he's battled injuries significantly, which is so sad. And it's going to be interesting. But they do have a very thick rotation, very deep rotation. DeGrom, Syndergaard, Steven Matz. I like those guys a lot. Bartolo Colon's even in the mix. So should have a good rotation nonetheless. With Harvey in there, though, makes him more dominant. So definitely going to be losing a big caliber guy right there. And one more news story as well, too, in the UFC 200, which is going to be tomorrow. Going to be very interesting to see what's going to happen. Brock Lesnar will face Mark Hunt in the co-main event. It's the co-main event, but it's because John Jones was pulled from UFC 200 because of a drug violation, was set to main event against Cormier. Very odd move there. Essentially ruining one of the biggest matches on the card. If you're a UFC fan, that's shocking. I'm just intrigued to see what Lesnar's going to do. As a professional wrestling fan, I'm intrigued to see what Brock can do. That's basically the reason I'm pumped for it, but it should be interesting. That goes live tomorrow. So now we're going to break down the NFL topics here as get into my weekly series here. Last week, we broke down the East, and we finished it off with we had the Redskins, and I don't remember the last two teams we did, but we finished them all off. And now this week we dive into the NFC North. So without further ado, let's jump right into it here with the Minnesota Vikings. Quarterback Teddy Bridgewater out of Louisville. A very interesting quarterback. Definitely a nice pocket, not really necessarily a pocket passer. A guy who does have some wheels on him as well. For me, they got playmakers too. We got Adrian Peterson. We got Kyle Rudolph. Laquan Treadwell, their first-round draft pick, and Stephon Diggs. I mean, interesting players all around there. Kyle Rudolph, I think, is one of their main targets. Kyle Rudolph's a very good player. I think a good Pro Bowl caliber type player. Of course, Adrian Peterson, one of, if not the best player in the NFL in terms of running backs, or even could be the best too as well. Bridgewater, though, really, for me, it's how Bridgewater performs this year for the Minnesota Vikings to determine where they're going to end up in the NFC North and if playoffs happen or stuff like that. If Bridgewater can progress, get better, and even improve, progress in every category as a quarterback, they can make it up the ranks. But if he struggles, throws interceptions, maybe get injured, blah blah blah, that could be a problem for the Minnesota Vikings, and that could halt any playoff chances they even have. They're going to run into some tough competition, though, with the Green Bay Packers. That is because their defense is a little bit shaky, though. I think it's going to be good. You have guys like Anthony Barr, Chad Greenway, and, of course, Harrison Smith. Xavier Rhodes is even in that Sharif Floyd as well. Linval Joseph. So you have a nice amount of players right there that are pretty good. Underrated kind of guys, definitely. Anthony Barr is a pretty solid linebacker. Chad Greenway. Harrison Smith, too. One of the best safeties in the NFL and is not really regarded as one, but he actually is a pretty solid safety. So even have Blair Walsh, who I like, one of my favorite kickers, too. He's just fun to watch. He did have a rough year last year, missing some of those field goals. But with role players like Rudolph on the offensive side, of course, Adrian Peterson pounding the football well. Defensive players like Barr, Greenway, and Smith. If the receivers get speedy guys like Diggs and Treadwell, if they can get open, Treadwell, he has a nice year maybe, they could do pretty well. But with the struggling NFC North towards the bottom, they will get second place this year in the NFC North, very similar and exactly what they had last year. And then to conclude this episode of the Sports Dude podcast, we'll break down the Detroit Lions. This one, not that hard to do because they are a rough team. All in all, they are rough. You got Kelvin Johnson. I mean, it's tough. He retires this year. That's the main target for Matthew Stafford. That's his main guy. He's had him for a while. And, it's going to be sad to see him go. That leaves a big hole now. Golden Tate's the only receiver they really have. A bunch of no-name guys, really, that are not going to be able to, I think, have any impact whatsoever against any of the NFC North, the opponents they have at all, I think. Running backs, too, Amir Abdallah. If he has maybe a nice year, it's a possibility. Matt Stafford himself, though, has had injury problems, interception problems as well. Tough for them to really rebound. And in my opinion, too, defensively, the secondary is extremely weak. They have no cornerbacks. I mean, besides maybe Darius Slay, no cornerbacks at all. Secondary is going to get burned by receivers like Jeffrey, Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb, maybe Treadwell, too, with his speed. So I'm looking for guys like Haloti Ngata to maybe have a good year. Ziggy Ansah, a young, good player. An underrated linebacker, DeAndre Levy, as well. So you have a few players in there. I like Ziggy Ansah, personally, to have a nice year. But in my opinion, with only Golden Tate, Stafford with his up and down inconsistency, no real big threat on the Lions anymore, and no defensive guy, it's going to really, I think, break out or really bring them over the edge, give them that next level push, you know what I'm saying? Kind of bring them over. I predict fourth place for the Detroit Lions, so it's going to be a rough year for them once again, back to the rut of the NFC North. But that should wrap it up, guys, for today's episode. A 17-minute episode tonight. Definitely a lot of topics to talk about. It was a very interesting episode of Sports Dude Podcast, breaking down KD and all that good stuff, the NFL, everything like that. Next week, we'll break down the Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers. And without further ado, thank you guys for watching. Have a great day as always. Make sure you can drop those comments down below, your questions. Feed them into me. That'd be great. Oh, and be on the lookout for a new series coming out. I believe I am debuting my new series coming out very, very soon, so be on the lookout for that. I could be updating you guys on Twitter. Don't quite know yet. But without further ado, thank you guys for always watching. I appreciate it all. Thank you for all the support. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you guys later.